Hi, I'm Emma from Honeybuns Bakery, and it's another one of our lockdown baking sessions. I hope you enjoy it, and any questions, just email thebee@honeybuns.co.uk, and we'd be really keen to hear from you with any questions and comments that you might have. So I'm using today, it's the banana bread recipe from our all-day cookbook. You can get this online, shameless plug, we've got a lot of these that we'd like to get through. They're brilliant and really versatile recipes. Clearly we didn't know that lockdown was going to happen because this was written a wee while ago, but what has come into its own is how adaptable these recipes are. You can sub in different flours. We are a gluten-free bakery, so we've got a reasonable range of expertise and experience with using different flours, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that as we go on. So I'll explain how to do this. 75ml of oil. We're assuming that you want this to be dairy free. It's not vegan because we use eggs in it. We can make a vegan version for you as well. So it's dairy free and gluten free. 75ml of oil. That was corn oil. You can use rapeseed oil, you can use coconut oil. If you don't want the coconut flavour, then you need to use a refined coconut, which is a neutral flavour. You're then going to have 2 free-range eggs, if you can. These were bought super locally down the road because I'd used all of mine up in the kids' pancakes yesterday. So it's rather lovely to be able to use the local ones. I've got 100 grams of runny honey, which is stated in the recipe. I didn't have any, so from the bakery we use golden date juice, or golden date syrup rather. I just want to show you this because if you're using this product, it does have a tendency to separate out. So you get a crystallised layer and a liquid layer. The way to get over this, and it doesn't redeem itself with shaking very often on its own. So what I did, I put it in a pan of simmering water just to melt up that crystallised layer and then give it a good shake, and that worked fine. You can use runny honey, you can use the date syrup, you can use granulated sugar if you'd rather. Use the same amount in grams as you would in mil. So it's a very, very adaptable recipe. Maple syrup would work really well as well. 50 grams of sorghum flour. If you've seen my videos before, then you'll know that we're a massive fan of sorghum. It's a little known in the UK, all-purpose gluten-free flour. It's made from a grass seed. It's not particularly well known here, but it's extensively used in Asia and Africa. It's brilliant. If you can't get hold of that, please don't worry. You can use gluten-free, like the Dove's Farm flour. Make sure it's plain. You could use tapioca flour blended with ground almonds. You could use corn flour blended with ground almonds or milled seeds. Lots and lots of variations that are available. You've then got 95 grams of very coarsely. You can see I've not really chopped them up enough. You can do it manually with a knife, or you can stick them in the food processor. There's 95, 100 grams, it doesn't matter, of pumpkin seed and sunflower seeds. Use any seeds that you fancy, so coarsely chopped. If you've got the time, pre-toast them. It does bring a lovely toasty flavour to the recipe. To do that, you'd put them in a preheated hot oven at 180, 200 degrees C, and you'd toast them for 4 to 5 minutes. Just as they start to golden up, they'll be ready. It's only if you've got time. Then going on to, so you've got 50 grams of your flour, and then 100 grams of milled seed. This is flaxseed, pumpkin seed, and let me just check, sunflower seed from a company called Linwood's. We use them a lot in our product development of new lines. It's fantastic. It's basically a milled seed blend. If you can't get hold of that, don't worry. You can use ground flaxseed, or if you can't get hold of any of that, just bump up the entire, forget that, and just use 150 grams of whatever flour you've got to hand. If you need to be gluten-free, clearly it needs to be a gluten-free flour. And then a teaspoon of cinnamon. And my recipe in the book calls for half a teaspoon of star anise as well. I haven't got that, so I'm not going to worry about it. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. It also, this is gluten free. It also calls for in the recipe 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb of soda. I haven't got that, so just for luck, I'm going to stick in half an extra teaspoon of the baking powder. And then we get to the bananas, and I don't know why I was really specific in the recipe. 325 grams of banana slices. Well, that equates to 3 what I'd call regular bananas, not super small, not super large, like a Goldilocks size, and I used 3 of those. I just wanted to show you this in its skin because you can go more bashed up and riper than that. You don't want it totally black and really mushy, not quite that far, but you can go quite battered and ripe for your bananas. I've broken them up by hand. If you'd rather, you can cut them into discs, doesn't really matter. First of all, you've put all of your banana bread ingredients into a mixing bowl, except for the banana. Then you're going to whisk this up so the ingredients are combined. I'm using a handhold electric mixer, but you can do it by hand if you prefer. Always a good idea to then scrape the sides of the bowl with a spatula to make sure that you get everything mixed in properly. It's dead easy. Most of our recipes are 1 bowl mixes. So it's a bit of a bish bash bosh, very, very easy mixture to work with. Just ensure that you've stirred it around again from the sides, and I'll show you the consistency of that. So it falls off the spatula, not too runny, not too stodgy. And then I'm going to add the banana. I'm going to mix this in by hand. You can use your mixer, it's up to you. And that's a beautiful, beautiful mix. So easy. So nutritious, particularly if you've got the ground seed, you can get hold of them. It's just packed with antioxidants, vitamin A, C and E, and lovely natural oils. I haven't used this. This is a loaf tin. Feel free to use this as the recipe calls for. Your baking time would be about 35 to 40 minutes on 170 degrees C. You need to either line it with one of those silicone baking paper cake liners, loaf liners. Do it yourself by lining with silicone paper that you cut to size, or you can get away with just brushing with melted butter, or if you're vegan, obviously an oil. Like I say, I didn't use the loaf today. I cooked in a tray and I brushed it with oil, and it's a beautiful, beautiful dark, very dark golden brown colour. You can go lighter. It's still super moist inside. And that was 25 minutes on 170 degrees C. It's obviously going to bake quicker than your loaf because you've got more surface area, shallower depth, so it bakes quicker. These foils are what we use for product development in the bakery, but you could use a standard baking tray from Lakeland or whoever you use. Then I have cut portions from the tray, and I'm going to sandwich those with a delicious and super easy chocolate banana spread, which I'm going to walk you through next. Hi, so this is our chocolate banana spread recipe. It's from our all-day cookbook again, as was the banana cake bread that you've just seen us do. This is 200 grams of dark dairy-free chocolate. We've used moo-free, which you can find readily available. It comes in a block, just like a conventional block, and it's in a blue pack from most supermarkets. We get ours from Sainsbury's, Tesco's, it's readily available. That 200 grams of chocolate, you can either melt it in the microwave in a microwavable bowl. I would put it on full power for a minute, stir it, check that it's starting to melt. Don't overdo it, because as soon as the chocolate starts to burn, you can't get it back. It goes super bitter, and you get kind of granular, darker bits that appear in your mix, and then you can't rescue that. The other alternative, which I really like, is the bain-marie method, where you've got a simmering pan of water, and you put a bowl over the top, or kind of like a deep plate, put your chocolate in there to melt, but just ensure you don't get any water in the mixture, otherwise again you can't rescue the molten chocolate, it's gone too far. Either way, either method is fine. As you melt that, you then need 60 grams total of seeds. If you've got time, you can pre-toast those. It always improves the flavour. You need to put them in a preheated oven at 180 to 200 degrees C and toast them for 4 minutes up to 5 minutes, just until they start to go golden. You'll get a really lovely colour, a really, really nice flavour. Roughly chop those seeds in a food processor or by hand. Actually, no, I'm thinking of the banana cake. You need to actually, with these seeds, you need to grind them, so it is preferable that you put them in a food processor. Sorry about that. You then put the molten chocolate and the milled ground seeds into a mixing bowl. If you want to cheat and you can't be bothered to do your own seeds, you can always buy a milled seed blend like we used in the cake. So Linwood's do a really good one. Other ones do exist as well. I'm just referring to the book. 1 ripe banana that you mash into the mixture, and 125 grams of dairy-free yogurt. You can use the Koyo coconut one. Lots of other brands are available. You basically mix all of that up. You'll get a spreadable consistency at that stage, which is quite loose, so it would drop off the spoon. I've chilled this just to show you for a good hour. It's been in the fridge for about an hour and a half, and it's super spreadable now consistency. It tastes delicious, and with all of the seeds it's highly nutritious as well, like the cake. And what we're going to do, I keep flitting between cake and bread because it is a hybrid. I'm not ever sure which to call it. And then be lavish. So sandwich those together, and then as a final flourish, I've done this with the bain-marie method. I didn't have a bowl, so I've improvised with a plate. Molten dark, dairy-free chocolate again, and you can just, I do apologise for my lack of artistry. As I've said before in my videos, I'm okay at the flavour, not so great at the presentation, but I think you'll agree. That looks really, really scrummy. It's dead easy. Eat it straight away would be my advice, but if you want to bake the bread / cake ahead of time, then you can do batch baking. You can freeze it. It freezes really, really well. If you're not going to do that, I would keep it in the fridge, because banana cake will go mouldy at room temperature after about 3 days. I hope that helps you with your ripening bananas in the fruit bowl. Any comments, as always, we'd love to hear from you on social. If you want to sign up to our Bee newsletter, we'd be really, really grateful. And happy baking, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Bye.